Do you like trees and nature? Well, this ain't your story, bud. In fact, this is the exact opposite. Both sides are fighting for a tree. One is trying to destroy it, the other is trying to preserve it. And if you're a nature lover right now, I'm going to probably call you a communist because the communists were after that. After keeping the tree alive, I mean. Sorry for that little slip up. I tend to do that when I'm improvising a lot of things. So, today we're going to be talking about Operation Paul Bunyan. I'll get to that in a minute, why it's really called Operation Paul Bunyan, but we should probably talk about why this is happening in the first place, why America's even interested in this tree in the first place. And that starts on August 18th, 1976. You see, this was supposed to be a normal day. Well, a normal day in the DMZ where everything is stressful and terrifying, but a normal day. You see, there were two groups. One group of Korean Service Corps, I'm just going to call them the KSC from now on, and the UNC, the United Nations Command. There was a group of these guys going together to cut down branches of a tree. Keep that in mind, branches of a tree, so that they can see more visibility in the area, just in general, right? Once it actually began, around 15 North Korean soldiers actually showed up, led by the Lieutenant Pak Chol, also known as Lieutenant Bulldog, because he loved to pick fights, apparently. So, this is going to be great when tensions like this, and you just have some guy wanting to cause a lot of fights. Anyway, after about 15 minutes of doing absolutely nothing, and looking honestly like unfazed by the entire ordeal in front of him, Joel abruptly told the UNC and the KSC. Sorry, I don't know why I'm saying KSC so weirdly. It's weird. They told them to stop, and Captain Boniface. I had the entire thing ready and everything. I had the entire thing ready, and I just couldn't think of it. Let's see. I had the entire thing ready, and I just didn't. Boniface, right? Boniface. So Captain Boniface told his men to just basically turn around, have their backs to Pack, and basically just keep chopping down the tree. Because honestly, that's the best thing he can do, so that they don't instigate a fight or something, right? And about 7 minutes later, 20 more North Koreans showed up, basically with crowbars and clubs and basically brute force weapons, right? And I think personally, Pack intentionally sent these guys because he knew that he needed backup, and it would be a lot better to have blunt force trauma weapons than just whatever they had. I don't know what they had, but it's good for close range combat. Anyway, so after Pack was ignored a second time, because they did it a second time, Pack got his watch, took it off, put it in a handkerchief, wrapped it in the handkerchief, put it in his pocket, and then said, "Kill the bastards." He yelled it. Well, but I'm not going to yell that out loud, but you get the idea. So anyway, they charged forward at the in this case our troops, because the tree. So while attacking, they picked up the axes from the our allied people, so from like KSC forces and UNC forces. So that's not fun, and you'll see why that's a very bad thing, because, well, yeah, you'll see. So during the 20 to 30 second fight, Boniface was knocked down by Pack and bludgeoned to death, unfortunately, by 5 North Koreans at least. While this was happening, First Lieutenant Mark Barrett disappeared after jumping over a low wall, and it wouldn't be until 90 minutes later, after seeing multiple North Koreans go down into a 15 deep-ish depression, basically like kind of a low point in the earth, where they would just disappear for a minute and then come back with the same axe, give it to the next person, they go down. It's basically back and forth. They did this for 90 minutes, and the Allied troops of UNC and KSC, sorry, I'm really bad at that. It took them a minute, but they finally found a search party to go down there and get him. And by the time they found him, there were wounds from the axe that the North Koreans used. And he was actually alive at this point. He was still breathing somehow. God only knows how much pain he was going through at that point, because axes are brutal. They have a lot of force and they're sharp. Yeah. So I can't imagine the pain he went through, but he was still alive by the time he was getting transported to a hospital in Seoul, which was about 35 miles away or 1.9 kilometers away from the DMZ. But unfortunately, he would pass away en route. So when it came to casualties, there were only 2 KIA, Boniface and Barrett, and everyone else in the aside from one person from the UNC, everyone else from the KSC and the UNC were at least injured in some degree. But rest in peace to those 2 because they were the only ones that actually died. So you're America, and one of your captains and first lieutenants just died in a small skirmish against North Koreans that lasted like 30 seconds. What are you going to do about that? Just going to sit there idly? Just let it happen? Let the North Koreans bask in their glory because they propagandized the fact that we attacked them first and that they did self-defense? No, you're not going to do that. 2 of your own just died. You got to take some kind of revenge on them. And oh my Lord, they did with Operation Paul Bunyan. Paul Bunyan is one of those mythical folklore that American and Canadians know about. And the only reason I even know about him is that Disney animated film that I watched in like middle or elementary school. That's the only reason I know him. But why Paul Bunyan? Well, they weren't going to just chop down the branches this time. They're chopping down that whole tree. That was their entire goal. This was way too patriotic for their country just to let this go away. So they're going to cut down a tree, dang it. And how are they going to do this? Well, 3 days after that small skirmish happened, specifically August 21st, I'm not joking when I say this, the U.S. and her allies brought 813 infantry, 27 helicopters, and 1 tank against the North Koreans, 150 to 250 troops with ARs and maybe machine guns to chop down a tree. Now, thankfully for the North Koreans, they did not attack, and this was the most peaceful part of the entire story because Pak correctly ordered the North Koreans to stand and lay down because no way would their at most 200 troops fight against that. So they did the smart thing, and they actually just didn't do anything and let the tree get chopped down. Why were they fighting for the tree? I think some people said that like Kim Jong-il, Kim Jong-un's father planted that tree, and that's why they were so infatuated about it. Get out of here, fly. But that's the only reason I can really think of. So what's the moral of the story here? Deforestation is okay if it's not in your own country.